welcome to the Impossible Dream, everyone. Hope you're doing all right, Taylor.
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Well, this is a very interesting thing. We'll see how it goes.
It's a big day for us, man.
A little bit.
A little bit of nerves, a little jitters.
That's very true. Not a bad thing, though. Well, this podcast, which, of course, the world needs more of those, right?
Of course, yeah.
It's not like this market isn't saturated.
2 more white dudes avoiding therapy.
Yes, and falling forward boldly.
Of course, yeah.
And ass backwards.
So, do you want to tell our guests why we're here?
Why are we here? Well, so a lot of this is in my lifetime, cynicism has been a really attractive force for me. And it is, I suppose cynicism is way better than being a deer in the headlights, but there's something missing from it. Mm-hmm. Like it just doesn't feel like, God, this is going to be life. Like just believing everything is manipulation. Language is just used to get what I want from other people. It's not satisfying enough. It's not enough. But it's also true. Like I am very convinced by the negativity of existence. But the reality is you're going to live, maybe if you're lucky, 80 years. And you're going to be cynical that whole time.
Right.
But that's why it's the impossible dream. It's not something that you can really overcome, but you have to do it anyway, even if you're going to fall flat.
Well, and of course, and I think my intended goal here is to kind of try and extract my impossible dream, I guess I should say, is how do we be happy in a world, like transcendentally happy, truly happy, like the kind of happiness that raises the floor, not the ceiling, where your baseline day to day is genuinely so full of joy that the throes of life don't knock you off balance as much. Because I think modern times are highly individual, and it leads us to this idea that cynicism is something that we should lean into, that everyone's out to get you, that everyone's just trying to get theirs, and you've just got to go out into the world and get yours, and that's the only meaning to life, and that just feels empty and vapid. And I mean, we've had years worth of conversations at this point trying to flesh this out and figure out what that's going to look like just for us as individuals. And I think the reason that I wanted to start this podcast for me personally is I not that we have the answers, but I think the debate and the discourse around seeking that happiness is something that I would love to put out into the world and have other people join in on, because ultimately we are all in this together. This is a group project, so to speak. Humanity is a team sport.
Whether we like it or not.
Correct. Yeah,
we like it or
we
not.
are all on this planet together. We're all in this country together. And the more that we can agree that, we need to find a way to move forward with joy and taking care of our communities and our families and things like that, how do we do that? And I mean, I think that the Impossible Dream title, that's why we went with it, because this does feel in a way ineffable. There are going to be road bumps. There are going to be all of these barriers to this, and I think the natural, almost we'll say monkey-brained intuition is to just lean into being selfish. And how do we as an individual, but also as a collective, come out of that selfishness into some form of individual prosperity through that joy that allows for collective prospering in your communities?
Or even if it's not prosperity defined as like some sort of monetary something.
Of course, yeah.
But the term is whatever makes life flourish.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. And that is something that, of course we're going to get into that over the time that we talk, but that's like a definition of what makes something true is does it work? Does it make people not happier in the sense of I'm elated, I've got positive emotion, but like you said, the floor is raised. Like I can't go beneath this because my life has
X, Y,
a
Z.
meaning
Yeah.
to it that is ineffable. I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but it does give me the it makes life now, instead of this thing that has been imposed on me, that I can be angry that it's been imposed on me. Now it's actually like an RPG.
Yeah.
Like I'm the player in this game, and it's everything is an adventure now, as opposed to this thing that is slowly crushing me into cynicism. But you kind of have to go through the stages. And yeah, we're not lecturing anybody here.
No,
We're
I mean,
going through the stages as well.
We are very much in this, I think, with everybody at the same time. Because I'll be bluntly honest. This is the first episode. I don't know what the answer to happiness is, to the impossible dream, so to speak. I mean, neither do you. We're here to flesh that out. We're here to figure that out. And
I'm worried that it's always like that. You're
Yeah.
never going to have the answer. That's part of what makes it impossible. You just have to do it. It's the decide to be the hero, even if that's crazy to do.
Yeah.
It's sort of the backstory for the impossible dream is based on, if anybody knows it, it's the Don Quixote, and he is a senile old guy who goes on this misadventure, and he's basically hallucinating this chivalrous reality, but you're like, actually, that's better than being cynical. Go on that adventure.
yeah.
You're going to die anyway.
Well, and that's just it. I think a lot of people, I mean, we're so tapped into our phones and everything like that. We live in a world where you really can detach yourself from your day-to-day affairs if you want. And I think my hope with this, and God willing, is that we can get people in here that have better answers to these questions than we do, and talk to them and seek that wisdom.
Or maybe better questions.
Or better questions, certainly, yeah.
Because I'm not, just on the record, I'm not sure how many answers we're going to provide.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Well, and really, it's not so much about providing answers as much as it's, I think, for me, declaring to the world it's a problem worth solving.
Right. That because it really could be that you could decide, and this is kind of the nihilistic cynicism of it, you could ostensibly, and it's reasonable to a certain extent. I get it. Like, I think about, at least for me, the thought has crossed my mind. Look, I didn't ask to be alive. I just suddenly was here, and now I'm having to do this. And you got people asking, "What are you gonna do when you grow up?" It's just like, man, I just got here. I'm trying to figure out why everything is the way it is, and you could get really upset about that, and it is upsetting. Like, for people that kind of make fun or deride, I would say the younger generations, although I would say that we're no longer that, even though I still think of myself as young, I'm no longer
How do you
young.
do, fellow teenagers?
Yes. Howdy, fellow kids. But I think that it is valid. It's a valid thing to say. I didn't ask to be alive, and this is all really depressing, and I'm angry about it. And I'd rather not be here. But at a certain point, it dawned on me as I'm going through the throes of that, well, actually, if that's how I feel, why am I still here? Like, why haven't I, what do you call it? Revoked your birth certificate?
Yeah.
As the nice way of putting it. And so there's actually an underlying assumption there that I didn't even realize I had. I've already decided that life is worth living because I woke up today and put on pants and decided to be alive. Yeah. And I didn't end it.
Well, and I think once you make that decision, because I certainly came from a place of cynicism with it, like mom and dad were divorced growing up, and I didn't ask for that. And, I got moved around a couple times, and I didn't ask for that. And, I think you can lean into that and go, well, I didn't ask for any of this, kind of to your point. But the reality of this is like, I think there's another side to this that people lose, that the ancients sort of had a better, more tangible grasp on than we have. And it's like, that is certainly a way to view the world. And I don't want to come across holier than thou or act like I'm better than anybody that views the world through that lens, because I spent years viewing the world through that lens. But I kind of like you, I woke up one day and was like, well, I mean, I'm here, and I could be depressed and cynical, or I could realize that like the chances of me existing as I am are 1 in 2.3 trillion or whatever. Like, it's a miracle that we're alive. It is truly a miracle.
That
like,
the specific you.
Yeah, your parents would have to
existed.
try 2.3 trillion times
Sounds
to
like a little
get
fun.
you again. and that's the thing, is that is miraculous. It is. And I think we as a society have been so, nose to the grindstone over, and especially in the West. I don't think you find this so much in, like you would never see this in sub-Saharan Africa, for instance. They know the beauty of life. Somehow a population of people that has less materiel than we do understands the value and the meaning of life far better than we ever could. And I think that there's really something to that. And the more I found myself sort of decoupling from the rat race, so to speak, and really tapping into my relationship with Christ and, my own life and the people that are around me, like the beauty of having a family that cares about you, having friends that care about you, like really the argument, I think, for me becomes a perspective shift. And what I hope to accomplish with this podcast is to shift as many people's perspectives as possible. I don't want to change your mind, and I don't want to tell you how to live your life. I want to tell you you have a life worth living. That's it.
Yeah, change the frame of reference for you such that maybe all of this would be worth it. Maybe all of the ugliness and because it is, cynicism is the right response to the world as it is. Like I've always thought that the modern psychological establishment just trying to medicate you so that you feel normal. It's like, well, maybe you're not supposed to feel normal.
Yeah.
Maybe depression is the right response to the world as it is. But that can't be the end of it. It's better to say, I don't want that to be the end.
Yeah, and that's certainly fair.
And even if that is the end, I decide not to live as if that's true.
Yeah.
Which is why it's impossible.
And yeah, right. Well, and to be clear here, because I know that this is something that you agree with, I understand there are certainly individuals, people that do suffer from things that do require legitimate medical intervention, and that's not at all what we're talking about. But I think the vast majority of people in America, for instance, today, especially our age and younger, because I'm 31, I'm the cursed millennial generation, and we live our lives so intentionally distracted and numbed from any discomfort that when we experience it at all, I think a lot of people don't actually understand it's baked into the cake, that
Right.
Human suffering is a part of the human experience, and that admittedly it's kind of, the yin and yang. Like the highs don't exist without the lows. You have to walk through the valleys in order to appreciate the mountains. There's no
Right.
way to acknowledge the when you get to those peaks and you're just like, wow, the day I got married, perfect example. The high that I experienced on that day, nothing has ever touched. But I only know how great that is because there are moments in my youth where I was sitting in my room just weeping because someone broke my heart. I've been crushed. I have been utterly crushed. I've been cheated on. I have screwed people over. I had to go through all of these experiences where someone did me wrong or I did someone else wrong, and learn from those experiences and experience the pain of not only being hurt by somebody, but also doing that damage to someone.
All right.
And getting to a place where I can look at my wife and see the beauty of that marriage for exactly what it is. And I think suffering informs so much of that experience, and we just ignore
Yeah.
that suffering. And then people get to a place where they're in one of their life's highs. You know, they're at the mountaintop, so to speak, and they're just looking around woefully unsatisfied with what they're seeing.
Well, and I get that. I have I've been there, and yeah, it can be really, really depressing when you're in those lows and it seems like that's all the world is. But because I spent so much time running from the idea that, man, am I really gonna have to work hard? And is this, like, this can't be what it's gonna be. Like, I have to really grind away and try hard just to live. And it's like, it feels like, God, how can you put up with that for 80 years if that's how long you're going to live, if you're that lucky? But when I started, and I don't know if this is, I think it's universally true, but it is definitely true for me. At a certain point, you decide, you know what, I'm just going to embrace the fact that life does not lay itself open for you on a silver platter.
Well,
There is suffering.
And I think there's a certain beauty to that too, because you can extract something from that. You know, like, I'm not special, is I think the extraction. I am one of many. I'm one of billions on Earth right now. But in that lack of being special, it means my experience is not unique. And that is the coolest thing about this show, is we're all dealing with the impossible dream. Absolutely all of us live in this world. All of us
Right.
are trying to extract meaning and happiness from this world on an individual atomic level. And I think a lot of people that I've come across, at least, are so focused on what you were describing, you know, the pain of existence, that they can't see the other side of it. And it's my hope that we can sort of help show the beauty of life to some extent, but also, like, experience pain together here in an authentic and true way. Because I don't want to shy away from that either. Like, you and I are going to have things that come up in our day-to-day lives that, because we're real people. Like, you have parents and someday they're going to die, and I have parents and someday they're going to die. And, like, if we're still on air, I want to experience grief with people too. I'm not looking to come across like I have this figured out. I certainly don't. Like,
Right.
I was, nervous as hell all morning to try and get this. Like, I'm a human being. I have emotions. And, like, there's nobody sitting here. We don't have a live audience. It's not like, we are in front of people. We're talking to each other, and we've known each other for years. But it's still, the I guess point that I'm attempting to make here is this means something. Life means something. I don't know what that is, and you don't know what that is, and we may never know what that is. I seriously doubt we'll figure out what that is for anybody in this podcast, because they need to figure it out for themselves. The hope is that we can provide, we talked about this not long ago, that we can say, hey, here's the map that I've used, and it may not serve you in your journey exclusively. It's not going to provide you a path. It's not going to tell you where you need to go. But what I can say is, when you get caught in the rain, I know there's a cave over here that you can shelter in. And there's some good firewood over there. And that there's a safe river crossing over here. And what I mean by those in a more tangible way is things that can ground you, things that you can really cement yourself to and say, okay, yeah, like, I'm in this, nasty tempest of life, but I know there's someplace safe that I can go. And I know that there's someplace safe that I can cross. And humanity is a team sport, man. We're all in this together. And
For better and for worse.
I want to serve people in that capacity as much as possible. I'm just looking to help.
Right, and it's not, again, it's not from a place of condescension by any means. It's just like passing somebody on the road and they're asking you directions. Like, well, I don't know exactly, man. I don't not sure where you're going, but let
Yeah.
me tell you what I've been here and I've been here, and this is
I
what you got to look out for.
I don't know your journey. I'm just familiar with the area.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's all I want this to be, is providing a top-down look at the area and saying, this is maybe what worked for me. This is what worked for Tony. This is what worked for, whoever we have on air with us discussing this. And those systems are assuredly going to be different. But the idea here is that we can put together a body of work that's big enough that people can see what other people are doing to weather that storm, and maybe pick up from this that, the idea here is that we all owe it to each other to help. I mean, one of the things that we've discussed as we come into, our 30s and everything like that is we're now at this age where it sort of feels like it's our responsibility to start having these conversations, because there was a big gap, I think, in our society when we were growing up where like the elders of our generation were so tuned into the rat race that they couldn't turn and tell us where the caves were. They couldn't tell us where the safe crossings were. And we've all just been so checked into ourselves that we're not giving this to the younger generations. And so it's no surprise to me when you look at millennials or you look at Gen Z or you look at Gen Alpha that they're depressed, they're anxious, they're nervous, and it's because, in my opinion, like, there has been this abject failure of the passing of this wisdom that used to just
Right.
be ingrained in our society. Like, once you reached the age where you weren't doing as much, you were guiding more. And the guiding part has, I think, failed us in a lot of ways because people are still doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that it's partially, and of course we'll get into all of that. This is
Yeah.
the order of importance is culture, and then and that's sort of what we're talking about. The fact that we're all on a team of some sort. That's culture writ large. What game are we playing together?
Mm-hmm.
And we all sort of agree on the rules. And that comes first. And then you've got the day-to-day, like you're talking about, the job, you got your nose to the grindstone, the economy of things, and politics from there. Like, we'll get into all of that from varying degrees, but it's always going to be back to the cultural aspect of things. And not just as some sort of philosophical concept, but as we're actually trying to live this out.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, what I mean. And when we say authentic, I don't mean it in some sort of cliche, like manifesting gratitude. Although
Yeah.
I might actually say that out loud from time to time. But it's actually authenticity in that I'm actually trying to live well.
Yeah. With meaning, specifically.
And we're going to go through that journey as best we can together with all of its pitfalls. And it's not a pure process.
No.
It's filled with failure, but the older I get, the more I realize you need the failure. You need the feedback from the world telling you that's not how to do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to go through those things. But maybe, because I have learned things. I didn't have to go through certain things because some other person went through it and told me, hey man, this is what happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm running your life. I'm just saying this is what happened to me.
Did you actually listen to him? 'Cause I certainly didn't.
Not all the time. That's embarrassing. But yeah, sometimes I did. Sometimes the stars aligned and it clicked. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to avoid that pitfall. I fell right into others.
Yeah.
But if I could in some way avoid a particular pitfall, that would be amazing. That would be, that's what this is for. And to just try to live well, whatever that means. And that's something that I think part of the reason the existential dread that we have, especially like I'm just thinking from the millennial perspective, is because I think we don't even think in terms of I'm alive. And my answer, and at least the classical answer was to live well, to
Yeah.
live a virtuous life. And we'll get into the nitty gritty of that. But it doesn't have to be some esoteric philosophical thing.
Yeah.
It can just be discussed as we're going to get into it, and as we're going through the day-to-day of just personal life, but also extrapolating that out to our cultural life as a group of people who are stuck here together, and all of the attendant things and current events that come through that. We're going to get into it all, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's scary as hell.
I was going to say it's terrifying, yeah, but it will be a lot of fun. And ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoy the ride with us.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.